Okay, today is August 26th, 2020, and right now we're looking at Hurricane Laura, which is a strong Category 3 hurricane with 125 mile per hour sustained winds. Looking at the Hurricane Center map, we see that the storm is approaching the border of Louisiana and Texas with 125 mile per hour winds. The central pressure has dropped to 956 millibar, and it's moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. So this is a dangerous storm. It's being allowed to move in. The weather controllers have the capability to stop this system. We had a 10-year span where there were no major hurricanes to make landfall along these Gulf states. Just imagine this 10 years they were controlling the weather. As long as everybody made their hurricane insurance payments, all the cities were anteing up. Everything was great. Well, it seems that people have found out that our weather is being manipulated and controlled for financial gain. And here we see once again a big storm that is approaching Louisiana and the border of Texas and Louisiana. Looks like it's got a fairly well-defined eyewall. If we look at the Doppler map, we see a half a hurricane. The storm is being targeted. If we go back again, we can see the blast patterns here in the water vapor map. These pressure waves, the storm is being targeted, but the eyewall, which is the machinery of the hurricane itself, is relatively undisturbed. As we get into the later frames here on this 200 frame loop, we can see that. We get the contrast down a little bit. You can see a little bit better. Pull it down a little bit better. There we go. All right, so we see that eyewall towards the end of the 200 frame loop. And we have high pressure on this side of the storm. We can see the clear, dry air right over on the west side. Now looking at the infrared map, we see a black area here. That is an extremely deep column of water vapor right around that eyewall. Look at that. That's a powerful storm. So this is going to cause a lot of flooding and a lot of damage. And the sociopaths controlling our weather, which involve the U.S. Air Force, the Department of Defense, and the NOAA, they control and manage these WSR88D's. And getting back to the map here, the Doppler radar map, we can see that there is nothing going on. These transmitters are not operational. There's one at Lake Charles, Louisiana, which has a call sign of KLCH. And then we have another transmitter located in New Orleans, a ground transmitter. These are all ground transmitters, by the way, the WSR88D. So we've got one KLIX in New Orleans. We see that that is not operational. We would otherwise see the pie-shaped cutouts to break down these thunderstorms and lessen the damage and all that. Okay, so here in Texas, in the Texas area, over here we have a Houston transmitter, which is KHGX. All these high-powered transmitters all have call signs because they transmit high-power microwave RF, just like, well, FM radio stations don't broadcast microwave, but they do broadcast high power in watts. These transmitters, these WSR88D's, they transmit high power in watts, and so they are required to have FCC licenses and are regulated by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. All right, so we see here that there's nothing, these transmitters are not operational. The Department of Defense manages these transmitters along with the NOAA. Okay, that's public knowledge. So this is rather interesting. There's no activity at all to break down this weather system. You see about a half a hurricane there. So we'll keep an eye on this. This is a short update. Getting back to the satellite map, you see very dark. This black area indicates very deep water vapor. A lot of rain. Looking at the bigger picture, we see now yesterday there was some interesting features. I couldn't do a video yesterday, but there was a lot of high pressure on both sides of this storm, and there's still high pressure on the west side, and that will push this in a more northerly direction, right? Probably towards the border right there of Louisiana, and probably, it's hard to say, but it's hard to say. It'll probably hit somewhere right around the border. So we had several days warning on this storm. The people down there hopefully are out of town. Everybody's gotten the hell out of the way, because this is going to cause a lot of flooding. And we'll keep an eye on this. We'll probably do another update today to see if the weather controllers have activated any of these WSR88D transmitters. Let's go back to the water vapor map once again. Turn down that contrast. Storm is being targeted. We can see the, like I mentioned, and that will prevent it from spooling up into a Category 5 storm. These waters out here are very warm, in the mid-80s. You can see those pressure waves moving out. Right there, there's a good example right there, that expanding shock wave. But this is being allowed to move right in and cause a lot of damage. So there's people making money on this. The insiders know what's going to happen. The NOAA, the Air Force, and the EOD, they coordinate. And of course, the chemtrail aerosols are sprayed. I don't have the Modus Today map up, but that you can take a look at the Modus Today map, and there's probably a lot of aerosols being sprayed over this storm, just for they're actually ineffective, really. If you look at the Doppler map once again, there's a lot of rain here that's going to be moving in, but typically the jets will spray over these weather systems, and that will hinder the amount of, in a very slight way, will hinder the amount of precipitation in a given area. Prevents the lift. But with a hurricane of this size, it's doesn't do much good, really. And we'll see that here later on today in the Doppler map. So we've got thunderstorms moving into Louisiana right here, and Texas is next. Okay, so that's just a short update here. We'll get another one up later today. That's it.